Hello all, welcome to the fifth episode of Crack Any Case, which is private equity investment case study. In this episode, we are going to discuss a highly ignored topic yet interesting. If you are going to give an interview in a private equity firm or any startup that works for a private equity firm that collects the data of companies and service to private equity firm, you are at the right place. Watch the video completely to understand the crystal clear approach to solve any private equity case study problem. So without any late, let's start the episode. So let's start with knowing the definition of private equity investments. So what is an investment? Basically, we invest in the expectation of returns, right? So we invest in stock market, mutual funds, sovereign gold bonds, and there are many things in the expectation of returns. But how private equity investments are different from these things? Let's see. Private equity investment is an investment strategy that people do to acquire the ownership in companies which are outside of the public stock markets. So those companies which are not publicly listed in the market, firms or big people buy that company, acquire some percentage of that company by investing in that company. Why? In the motto of developing the company, restructuring the company, okay, restructuring the revenue models and gain profits, and after gaining profits, selling the stake at that profit. So this is a technique which is similar to sharks that do in Shark Tank India, right? But what sharks does, they invest in newly raising startups. But private equity investments are done by firms. Like all these firms that you can see on the screen are private equity investment firms only. What these firms does, not like sharks. These firms search for the companies which are old. These firms doesn't depend on the startups. They don't take the risk. These companies search for the old companies that are already there in the market but not publicly listed and find them and invest in those companies and acquire the ownership, restructure the company's work ethics, rules, everything, and sell the company, sell that equity of that much they own to gain profits. So this is basically the private equity. And what is the difference between private equity and venture capital? As I said before, venture capital is something that people does in startups. Private equity is people or firms that invest in companies which are already established. So the Shark Tank India example that I said is moreover a venture capital type. So both the problem statements looks like similar. If the interviewer approaches you saying it's a private equity problem or a venture capital problem, both are same. Diagnosing the problem or structuring the solution for both types of problems is same. And what is that structure? Let's see in the upcoming slides. So I designed the problem and the solution especially in a manner that you involve better. So the solution is like this: the conversation between you and the interviewer, so that you will be involved much better compared to my previous videos. So let's start with the problem statement first. The problem looks something like this. The client is a private equity investment firm and the service that he is interested in is 5-minute delivery service in Bangalore. So this kind of question will be asked in private equity investments or venture capital problems. So the question that you are going to face in the interview won't be the same question as a 5-minute delivery service in Bangalore. It can be a taxi service, it can be a physical fitness centers like gym, decathlon, or any swimming pool service, whatever it is. So but the way and the approach that we use to solve these problems will be same. So let's solve this problem first and solve all the other problems that are there in the internet and create some new problems by ourselves to improve the understanding towards private equity investment problems. As I always suggest that jumping directly into solving the problem, jumping directly into conclusions will lead you negative points in the interview. You will be a red flag before the interviewer. So you should always remember one thing, that you should verify the question once again with the interviewer. So you are going to say that, sir, I would like to summarize the problem once to ensure I understand it properly. My client is a private equity investment firm and they are interested in investing in a 5-minute delivery service which is currently working only in Bangalore. I need to suggest whether investing in this firm would be a profitable decision or not. Am I correct, sir? And the interviewer will say, yes, you understood the problem statement perfectly. Please continue with the solution. This is the ideal solution, guys. This is the ideal step. Because without any assurance, if you are going to solve the problem, there are 99% chances that you understand the problem wrong in the first place. And you are ending up with the wrong solution, which makes the interviewer lose interest in the candidate. So please don't do such silly mistakes, guys. So after getting the confirmation from the interviewer, state your overall approach in one go and get the confirmation from the interviewer. I already said this point in the episode 2 of Crack Any Case, right? So what you are going to say? I would like to understand the size of the business in Bangalore and its growth rate, its current competitors and their market share, so that I can analyze company's financials. What is meant by financials here? The revenue, cost and the profits. So later I am going to look into profitability and delve into the revenue model and cost structure. All these terms that I explained in the first video of Crack Any Case, that are the terms that are necessary before you are going to solve any case. Okay, so if you are unaware of these things, please go to episode 1 of Crack Any Case and watch all the definitions. And after that, watch the episode 2 of Crack Any Case to know the general approach to crack the case, to solve the case. Again, come to this video, you are going to solve with much more clarity. Later I am going to look into profitability and delve into its revenue model and cost structure. That is necessary, right? Because without the idea on the revenue model and the costs that the company is having, it's very risky to invest in that company, right? Okay. Also would like to have look on the asset to liability ratio of the company. This is also an important point. Again, I explained in the episode 1 of the Crack Any Case. For the final decision, I'll analyze the valuation of the company and what returns can we expect from the company. So before any investment, this is the common step, right? You are going to look upon the valuation of the company and the returns that you come by selling that stock, but the equity of that company after few years. So you will get a reply from the interviewer that that sounds like a well-structured approach. Please carry on. So what I always say to you guys, ask preliminary questions to the interviewer. So in this paragraph that you are seeing above, there are the preliminary questions included in it. If you see there, I would like to understand. So that's a question, the size of the business. So you are going to ask the size of the business and what's the growth rate of the business. Okay, and what are the current competitors and what are their market shares. So you are going to ask these all preliminary questions. I am not going to repeat these things in each and every video again and again. This is an important step to ask preliminary questions, right? So let's go to the next slide. Immediately you should focus on some factors that estimate the frequency of using the service. Whatever the service it is, you should think about the factors. You should jot down on the paper on a side. So while solving this problem, things that came into my mind are age. How age can affect the frequency of using this service? Pause the video and think once. Kids, children are not going to access this because they don't want any groceries to buy. If at all if they want to buy something, they are going to approach their parents. Same thing with the old people which are above 60. They are being taken care by some of the family members. So if they want anything, they are going to ask their family members. So age is a factor that depending on this thing, we can divide the population and get a market size, right? So young adults, working professionals, and people that are in the age between 20 to 35 are highly favorable to use this service. And again, people above 35 to 60, they use a bit less. Why? Because people like our parents who are above 40, 45, 50, they like to hand pick vegetables, right? They want to buy their own grocery shops on walk, and they want to pick the items that they want. They find satisfaction in that thing and they are used to it from their young age. So again, we are going to neglect some sort of people from that category. These all things we'll discuss clearly while solving the problem in the next slides. But for now, I expect that you got an understanding on how we think the factors. So availability of nearby grocery stores is other factor that came into my mind. How? In a city like Bangalore, where skyscrapers are stacked one after one, it is very difficult to go to a grocery store. You should catch a lift, you should go down 20 floors, and again you should walk for a half kilometer to get grocery. So this is a hectic task for a busy person. So he will just simply use this 5-minute service app. And again, traffic. Traffic is a big issue in cities. So people who are tired with traffic, they don't like going into the traffic and buy groceries again. What is the another factor? The fitness levels and the laziness of the people. A person who is very lazy is not going to go to the grocery shop once he is having these kind of services in his hand. Even though if the grocery shop is nearby his house, he won't go. He does use this 5-minute service app only. So these are all the factors that I wrote down on my paper while thinking about this problem. One factor only that I should choose from all these factors. If you are going to take multiple factors, you are making your life complex. The solution is going to be a complex. Think about the most reasonable factor that you are going to pick. The most reasonable factor that I thought is age, because considering age as a factor simplifies my life, because I can easily segregate the population to children, young adults, adults above 60. To get a easy market size value, it is advisable to consider famous categories, famous factors like age, sex, economy level and all. This is the important formula that we are going to use in each and every case study problem. At the end of the case, we are going, हमको सिर्फ profit से फर्क पड़ता है. So we are going to find out the profit. The revenue is the first step of calculating the profit. The costs are again listed. There is no method to calculate the costs of a company. The costs of a company are listed and we will get the direct value. The main trick lies in calculating the revenue of the company. The monthly revenue, annual revenue, weekly revenue. You should again ask this thing to the interviewer. You should ask the interviewer that should I calculate the monthly revenue or the weekly revenue, daily revenue or revenue per annum. So in this problem, I considered the monthly revenue. We'll see while solving the problem numerically in the next slide. Before that, why I want to put this formula again, even after discussing in my previous episodes, because in this video, I am here with a new component in the formula, that is season factor. What is season factor? Season factor is one of the unique approach that I personally love while solving the case problems. The season factor is a number that lies between 0 to 1. Season factor is something similar to the probability of the service being used. I will clearly explain with an example. See guys, so if you were asked to solve monthly revenue of a hotel, so the hotel is not going to have the constant revenue each day, right? Okay, for your comfort, I'll consider a pub. A pub is not going to have a constant revenue on every day of the month, right? People like going pubs on Friday and Saturday, which is weekend. So in weekends, my season factor will be 1. And in the weekdays, my season factor will be 0.5, 0.6, something like that. So on weekdays, the revenue gets down. So the calculation that you do and you end up having some value at the end, I will multiply it with some 0.5 or 0.6, which gives me the weekday revenue. And I'll multiply it with 1 as it is to get the revenue in weekend. So the season factor will depend upon different things in different problems. So in our problem, what will be the season factor? Pause the video and think about it. I am going to reveal this thing when we solve the problem on the paper. So let's go to the next slide. We are here to solve the problem. So what's the first step while we solve the problem on paper? That is to find the market size, right? So how are you going to get the market size? I again said it's a part of guesstimate, right? If you are not familiar with guesstimates, please wait for the next episode, because the next episode is going to be a guesstimate. So it's not that difficult. So you can understand the guesstimates by seeing this video also. Even in the before video, I introduced guesstimates. So let's see. I am going to divide the Bangalore population on the basis of age, as I said before. So there will be children and teenagers, young adults, adults, and above 60, right? So I mentioned the ages also there. So I am going to ignore the people who are there in the first and the last sector there. I am going to only consider the young adults and the adults as they use this service. So what 1.3 crore into 55 by 100, which is 55% of 1.3 crore, is 0.715 crore. So now the 1.3 crore is been scaled down to 0.715 crore. So what are the next things that we can further simplify this problem, further filter this 0.715 crore people to get a realistic value of the people who use this service? Not only this specific service, but this 5-minute service apps, what are there in the Bangalore, available there in the Bangalore. It can be depending upon again poor, middle class and rich. Now see guys, there is no such firm method, there is no such firm solution to solve this problem. So someone can think in another way, someone can consider some other factor. I can approach like this: 3 out of 5 young adults use this service. Only 1 out of 5 adults uses this service. As I said before, young adults use this service more and more, but not adults, because adults are like our parents. They like offline shopping much and much. So they always says like, यार groceries कौन खरीदेंगे online में, ऐसा बोलते हैं लोग. So I can consider that thing also. As I said before, I can consider like this: poor, middle class, rich. So it completely depends upon you and how you are going to deliver at the point of interview. That only matters, and how sensible you are. So do anything which makes sense. So now I am going to segregate this 0.715 crore population into poor, middle class and rich people, and I am considering the middle class and rich people only use this service. Poor people are not going to use this service. I am pretty sure about this thing, so I am ignoring them. So now in this problem, in this approach that I am doing now, what will be the season factor? The season factor will be 0.5 and 1 here. What I considered is 1 out of 2 people in middle class uses this service, and each and every rich people uses this service. This is how I am considering. You can consider in your way. So how this thing is going to get down again: 0.715 into 60% into season factor 0.5 plus 0.715 into 25% into season factor, which is 1. The number that I am going to end up is 0.4 crore. So we started from 1.3 crore and we are ending now at 0.4 crore. So 0.4 crore is the market size. Understood? Now again, time for some questions. Ask questions to the interviewer. Ask, is this service available at all the locations of the city? Why I am asking this question? If the answer is no, again I am going to filter out that 0.4 CR, like by removing people which are not accessing this app, which are not at all able to access this service. So the interviewer said yes, because interviewer also don't want to make things complex. He also don't want to stay with you for hours. Here he's also having a list of people who wants to interview. So mostly he said yes. Market share. So now I am with my market size 0.4 CR. Now I should ask the market share to the interviewer. What will be the market share? So out of all those 0.5 CR, each and everyone is not going to use your service. There are competitors there in outside the market. So what is your market share? Your market share is 10%. 10% out of 0.4 crore people. And the frequency of the service? So whoever using the service, at which frequency is going to use? Twice a week. Assume this thing. you are not going to ask interviewers such things. Again, these kind of things, these kind of numbers, as we assumed the population before, as we assumed the percentages of the different sectors, like this only assume also this thing. Like I am assuming, assume which makes sense. So I myself uses 2 times a week Swiggy Instamart. So I am assuming twice a week. So what it that will be like 8 times a month. We are given that to calculate the monthly revenue. So it will be 8 times a month. Got it? Yes. Now what is the average price, order price? Again, assume this thing. What will be the average price? So try to relate things to yourself so that things will get easier, because you are a real person and things that you do will be similar and close to the reality. So averagely I spend 200 rupees per order because I want to get the free delivery. So 200 rupees per order is what I am assuming as the average order price. And ask the interviewer that commission charged by the service. Anything personal that is related to the company, you should ask to the interviewer. Anything related to the one who uses the service, you should assume it. You got the point. Commission charged by the service is 3%, which is again given by the interviewer. So the company charges 3% of the order value commission. Now find out the price per unit into number of units. What is the price per unit? 200 rupees per order into number of orders, 8 orders per month, into what is the commission that you get? 3%. So take this value and multiply with the market size and the market share. You are going to end up with the revenue, which is 1.92 crore. 1.92 crore per month is the revenue that generated by this service, assuming all the guesstimates to be true. It's not guarantee that what you are assuming will be true. It might be false, but what is important? The approach, the clarity, how sensible you are. 1.92 crore is not a weird number. 1.92 crore for this kind of service in a city like Bangalore is fine. If you are getting some 1000 crores revenue per month, there is something fishy. This is the sanity check that I again mentioned in the episode 2 of the Crack Any Case. You should again do the sanity check immediately. You are getting 0.4 CR people, okay, which is again fine. You are getting 1.92 CR as the revenue per month, which looks fine, pretty good, and it is possible for a startup, right? So in this way, you should do sanity check at the end of the values that you are going to end up, okay? After this, as I always said, at the end of the problem, you think everything got completed and you are going to rush to the summarizing the problem. No. Ask about the competitors. Every time before ending the problem, ask about the competitor, ask about the strengths and weaknesses of our own company, do the in and out research with the interviewer. So that interviewer got a first impression while you ask the preliminary questions. Interviewer got a good impression on the way you solve the problem. And interviewer should have a good impression at the end of the problem also. And how that defines by concentrating on each and every aspect, like competitors and our strengths and weaknesses. So you are going to ask, could you please tell me the position of our company in the market and the percentage acquired by the competitors? So it's the third largest company with 10% of market share, he said. And the percentage acquired by other competitors, we don't know. He didn't say. So you are going to again ask that thing. Like, may I know the primary and secondary competitors percentage? So he will say top competitor he is having 50% market share. He acquires 50% market share. He is the big shot. And the second top competitor is having 35% market share. He is also a big shot. Now, by saying this thing, immediately the thing that you are going to think is how to acquire, how to snatch some percentage of market share from them. You should include that thing in your conclusion. What this thing makes? This thing makes the interviewer think that you are having a proper business mindset. So let's go to summarizing the problem. The final conclusion that I am going to say after listening to all the responses of the interviewer is something like this. Based on the available information, the company is operating in a large market but has a slightly lower market share compared to its competitor, which is true. However, if there are loopholes and opportunities for improvement in the market, so this is the statement that we are telling to the client. So in this way that you should communicate with the client. You are not going to give a proper answer like, yes, please go and invest. No, don't invest. This is not the way you are saying to the client. You are putting each and everything from your research in front of the client and let the client take the decision. So where are we? Improvement in the market, we can potentially acquire some competitors' market share, as I said before. Additionally, the company's monthly revenue is around 1.92 rupees crore, which is promising if costs are managed effectively, given that costs are managed effectively. As long as the company maintains its third position in the market and focuses on the problem solving strategies, it could achieve a market share of 20 to 25% in the coming years, which increases the revenue. Okay. Nevertheless, my client should carefully consider costs of the company, assets of the company, and liabilities of the company before making any final decisions. This much of clarity we are going to conclude the answer, guys. We are not going to say a simple yes or no, or simply putting the revenue there and saying, yeah, this revenue is more than what we require. This is above par. So let's go, let's invest. You are not going to say like this. You are going to put each and everything from the research that you have done while solving the problem. Take 2 to 3 minutes time before thinking the summary. Write the summary. If you are not able to put it in your mind at one place, write it on the paper on keywords. Read it out. This is how you will solve any private equity case. Go and watch Shark Tank India, because it is similar to private equity investment. What I said before, it is a venture capital problem. So how sharks are thinking before investing into a company, it is similar, right? Here we are thinking something before investing into a company which is not publicly listed and an old company. What sharks do there? They will invest in a startup. The factors that are going to invest in a the factors that we think before investing will be the same, be it a private equity investment or be it a venture capitalist. So please go and watch Shark Tank. Solve different types of private equity problems that you get in internet. So guys, please follow me in LinkedIn. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, so that I will get more confidence to upload new episodes with interest. I am planning to upload some Excel files containing different types of case study problems and their solutions in my LinkedIn in upcoming days. So please have a look on my LinkedIn profile and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. That's all for the episode.